Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be doing problems concerning percentages of prices, percentages of numbers, and here a nice word problem where we kind of deal with percent of an increase in price. Okay, so again, this is for the grade 8 curriculum following just calculating pure percentages of numbers section. And so if we start out with the first question, I'm telling you if 40 is 125% of some number x that we don't know, how can we find the value of x, okay? So in the previous section, we worked with the idea of finding percentages of numbers. And so whenever we want the percent of a number, we can convert the percent into its decimal form. And to convert a percent to a decimal, we simply divide by 100, given that percentages are always out of 100. And so our decimal, in theory, moves back 2 places. And so the decimal form of 125% is 1.25, sorry, I'm gonna use the French, 1.25. And since we want 125% of this mystery number x, we're gonna multiply. Whenever we want the percent of a number, we multiply them. And so 1.25 times x is written as 1.25x. We exclude the multiplication symbol because it clearly looks a lot like the x that acts as our variable, and to avoid confusion, we simply use 1.25x implied multiplication, okay? Now, we're told that 40 is this 125% of some number x. And so that means that 1.25 times x is equal to 40, okay? Now, this is really the only part of the problem that requires any kind of explanation. It's converting the percent to its decimal form, multiplying by this mystery number that we were looking for, and then establishing an equation that we're able to solve. Solving this equation is just a one-step algebra kind of question. And so if we want to find the value of our variable x, of our unknown value here, we want to get rid of this times 1.25. Anytime we use algebra to solve these equations, we think of inverse operations. And so what's the inverse operation of multiplying x by 1.25? Clearly that's dividing by 1.25. And now the x will be left alone because multiplying and dividing by 1.25 cancels out. And the central rule of algebra is we always do the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. And so we'll divide 40 by 1.25 as well. And now we're left with x is equal to 40 divided by that 1.25. And you can use a calculator if you like, but I assure you that the answer is 32. And so we get x equals 32. If we want to check that, we can do so quite easily because we can simply test to see if 125% of 32 is in fact 40. And to do so, we want 125% of 32, meaning 1.25 times 32. This was covered in the previous section. And again, I assure you that this is in fact equal to 40. And so we know our solution is correct, okay? And there we go, that's problem 1. Now for problem 2, we have a house in Halifax that increased in price from $375,000 to $525,000 from 2018 now to 2023. So the question is, by what percent did it increase in price, okay? Now the first step is simply to calculate how much it increased by in pure numerical value. And so, amount of increase, let's call it. The amount that it increased by is simply the difference between the two prices, right? It went from 375,000 all the way up to 525,000, so it increased by the difference between the two. And so, the difference simply implies subtraction. So we'll do 525,000 minus the original price of 375,000, and we find that in pure monetary value, the price of the house increased by $150,000. Now, since the question is asking us to find what percent it increased by, we always compare the amount that it changed by to the original price. Okay, always comparing to the original price. And so since it started out at 375,000, we're going to compare 150,000, the increase amount by the original price. And so the percentage increase will be the amount that it changed by. So let's call that the increased amount divided by always the original price. Let's write that out since this is our first example like this. And then, since we want the percentage, we're going to multiply this amount by 100%, because percentages are always out of 100. And so we have these numbers ready. The increased amount is, as we found, $150,000. So 150,000 divided by the original amount, $375,000, and multiplying that by 100%. You guys can do this on a calculator if you'd like. What's that going to be? I'm not sure what that's going to be. Is it really? It absolutely is. So that will come down to 0.4 times 100%. For a percentage increase of 40%. A nice, clean number in the end that it comes down to. And so there we have it. It increased by 150,000 compared to the original price. Then multiply by 100% to get the percentage increase, and we get 40% increase within the last 5 years. Okay? So I hope that helps. Again, if you guys have any questions, comment, requests for future videos, please leave a comment down below. And thanks for watching.